Gotta stay awake, stay alive. It's all on me to find a way to make it in life. Have to believe or else the pain will take all the fight right out of me. So I just lay awake, late at night, thinking of things that I can do to make progress. It's all in the process, train the subconscious. That shit works, I promise. So take what you need, no breaks in the speed. Don't save anything, don't waste all you could be. I'll do it right, I'll do it wrong. I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna be strong. I wanna fly before I'm gone. I'm gone. Now I'm all but obsessed. I wake up, I'm possessed. I just wanna be the best, fly above all the rest.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Warrior Within. I'm your host, Jaime Bennett. As always, viewer discretion is very strongly advised, especially on today's episode. I'm going to be talking about a very sensitive subject matter, and if any of you are very sensitive to animal abuse, graphic speech, graphic material, that's going to be included in today's episode, and so please turn this episode off if it's going to affect you adversely. So I don't want anybody to be upset by today's episode. So like I said, if you are sensitive to that subject matter, please don't watch today's episode. I wanted to talk about today's subject matter, and I had talked about it in the past on a past episode of The Warrior Within. I did talk about animal testing. I was sent a story in my email about a cat named Copper, and I tried to research that story. I'm not saying that it's not true, but I always like to do research to back up anything that I talk about on my programs, because I don't want to be giving you all false information, and I don't want to be telling you a story that doesn't actually exist and didn't actually happen. I like to back up my topics with research. I always research every topic that I talk about on this show. I either research it or I've lived through it. So without further ado, I am going to be talking about some very graphic subjects in today's show. I can't guarantee that I won't break down and cry because some of you may not know, but I used to be a veterinarian assistant, and I was taking vet tech courses through an online program, and I have seen quite a few awful things working in the animal medicine industry. But I am very proud to say that there were also some really, really good stories that came from me working in that industry. I love animals. I have grown up with animals my entire life. My dad was a veterinarian assistant, and I am an animal rights advocate. I am signed up with so many groups. I'm involved with so many animal rights groups that I get sent these stories and I get sent petitions. So if any of you are on my Facebook, don't be surprised if you see, hey, Jamie wants you to sign this petition to save this animal, because I am a huge animal rights advocate. The way I see it is animals bleed, they cry, they have feelings. They have feelings too, and we need to protect them. We need to protect them as much as we would protect other living beings, because they are living beings and they need to be protected, and they do not need to be treated poorly. So, like I said, I was going to talk about a cat that had been adopted for the sole purpose of being tested on. But I don't know if that story actually happened. So what I say next may or may not be true. I do not have the research to back it up, so please don't take my word for it. But there was a cat, like in this email that I was sent, there was a cat that was adopted for the sole purpose of being tested on. They inserted electrodes in this cat's bladder. This cat couldn't even urinate on its own. It could only urinate with a remote control because of the electrodes that was inserted in its bladder. And whenever it did urinate, it would urinate blood. They tested on this cat so much. Like I said, I don't know if this is a true story, but I'm sure that there is a story similar to this one that has happened out there in the world, because animals are being tested on left and right, and that needs to stop. But this cat had been tested on and cut open so much that eventually the cat's body gave up. They slaughtered the cat for the purpose of testing, and that's just not right. It is not right. So I'm going to be talking about a few things from the internet, because I like to look this stuff up as I'm talking to you all, because then you are seeing that I am actually researching it right in front of you. And I think that that's more powerful than just me saying something that I've grabbed off the internet and you all taking my word for it. This way you guys are researching with me and I'm talking about it. So there's the Animal Welfare Act, and you can find this on www.nal.usda.gov/animal health and welfare/animal welfare act. So basically, this is in quotations. The Animal Welfare Act was signed into law on August 24th of 1966. It is the only federal law in the United States that regulates the treatment of animals in research, teaching, testing, exhibition, transport, and by dealers. The act is enforced by the USDA, APHIS, Animal Care. It has been amended numerous times since its original passage in 1966. The Animal Welfare Information Center was mandated under the AWA's 1985 amendment, Improved Standards of Laboratory Animals Act. Therefore, as a part of AWIC's mission, we provide information on the AWA to help people understand the law and its requirements. The current law and regulations, the Animal Welfare Act requires the minimum standards of care and treatment provided for certain animals bred for commercial sale, used in research, teaching, or testing, transporting, commercially, or exhibited to the public. Let's unload that. Think about that for a moment. Minimum care. That can mean anything. That can mean like maybe they give them a little bit of food every day, clean up whatever cage they keep them in. But that doesn't mean that, they're not going to insert electrodes into their bladder or other horrific things, just so we can make sure that our lotion that we use on our hands or our makeup that we use on our face is not going to cause us harm. But it's okay to test it on animals how we see fit. That makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me so sick. That's why I don't wear makeup a whole lot. I don't have makeup today. For one, I'm allergic to makeup. Anytime I wear eyeshadow, anytime I wear face makeup, I get sinus problems afterwards, and I am allergic to makeup. So you get plain me. I don't like to wear makeup very often, only on special occasions. But you do need to check the label on shampoos, makeups, anything that you use. You need to check the label and make sure that it says this product was not tested on animals, because the more people who buy products that have not been tested on animals, maybe that will create a change. Maybe they won't test on animals nearly as much. So here's a positive thing. Don't mind me, I'm kind of tired. I'm supposed to go into work at 12 midnight tonight. Maybe. My schedule is so crazy. It's so crazy. But the FDA's lab animals can now be adopted out as pets instead of euthanized. That is awesome. And this was published February 19th of 2019, updated in February 19th of 2020. It's by Hillary Schinfeld, and it is for the People magazine. So you can find it at people.com/pets/FDA lab animals adopted out instead of euthanized. That is awesome, because a lot of times they would just euthanize them instead of giving them a chance to be adopted by a loving family. Healthy dogs, cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, and other animals who have been used in lab research by the Food and Drug Administration will now be allowed to be adopted out as pets instead of euthanized, according to a new policy that was quietly enacted by the FDA. In November, the FDA revised its policy guidelines to reflect its current stance. FDA spokeswoman Monique Richards told People the FDA, in quotations, I have pop-ups, fun. The FDA has supported and continues to support the transfer, adoption, or retirement of FDA-owned research study animals that have completed their assigned studies and meet applicable, there we go, yay, Jaime, applicable eligibility criteria. She said the November 2019 guideline expressly states the eligibility criteria for adoption, retirement, and transfer. This is not a procedural change, but a newly approved internal standard guideline developed to provide overarching support to enhance and promote harmonization of FDA animal research activities. I really, really wish that animal research didn't have to happen at all. That would be the ideal situation. I know that they do test medications on animals for, like, let's say cancer or other illnesses and other horrible health conditions. They do test medications on animals and see if it can cure the animal of whatever situation is going on. I'm on the fence about that. Like, animals can't speak for themselves. They can't tell you this hurts. They can't tell you stop. They do give you signs. I mean, a dog will bite you if it is tired of what you are doing to it, if you were hurting it. They can't vocalize it, but they can show you signs. And, animals are living beings. I think of my pets as being a part of the family, and let me rephrase that. I would not want to even think about one of my animals being tested on or being cut open for the sake of, is this going to cure this condition? Is this going to affect a human being adversely? There are a lot of people out there that will argue with me, argue with that statement that animals have feelings too. Just because they don't speak like human beings, just because they don't speak the English language does not mean that they don't have feelings. They do. They have feelings. Animals have feelings, and we need to protect them just as much as we protect human beings. Yeah, there's a fine line, if there was a scenario of, am I going to protect my daughter or am I going to protect my dog? Yeah, of course my first choice would be my daughter, but if I could protect both of them, then that would be the best choice. It frustrates me. I have seen some pretty horrible things in my lifetime because, like I said, my dad was a vet assistant, and I've just kind of grown up around animals and grown up being really, really good at animal science. And I have done a lot of research. Like I said, I have talked about animal testing, like I think it was last year on The Warrior Within. I know that I have talked about animal rights before, and I have talked about animal testing. It's like completely, it makes me sick to my stomach just thinking about it. Cosmetics, like dietary supplements and other products, certain foods, drugs, vaccines, medical devices. In my opinion, I think that, it would be better, maybe not better, but I would feel better, I guess you would say. I would feel better if they just left the testing to human beings who volunteered for this particular testing. They have lab groups, and they do have, group A and group B, and they do have human test subjects. And they can vocally say, yeah, I want to be part of this test subject. I want to be a test subject, and they get paid to be test subjects. And I think that it would be better to test on human beings who volunteer to do that versus an animal who can't tell you, yeah, I want to be a test subject. They don't make the decision. They are forced into this, and it is cruel. It's cruel and inhumane, in my opinion. Animals are they're like children. They're like infants. They're like toddlers. They can't say, yes, I want to be a part of this. 9 chances out of 10, if they could speak for themselves, they would tell you, I do not want to be a test subject. No, thank you. Have a nice day. I think it would be better for, them to leave the testing to human test subjects who volunteer to be a test subject. I realize that there are some things that they cannot test on human beings because it would be too dangerous, but ding, 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 doesn't that send up a red flag? I'm just saying. That's my opinion. You can hate me for my opinion. That's fine. Just be polite with your comments. This world is cruel enough. We don't need animals dying for our eyeshadow or for our foundation or for our lip injections. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. No, thank you. No, thank you. I do not need any of that. I would much rather age naturally and have a good conscience that I'm aging naturally and beautifully, and anything that I use was not tested on an animal. That's my opinion, and maybe I'm a little bit arrogant about my opinion, but I love animals. I am very protective of animals. I'm a tree hugger. I am an animal rights activist, and a lot of times people who say that they're a tree hugger and that they're an animal rights activist are hated upon, and I don't understand why. we want a positive future for our children. I don't want my daughter to grow up in a world where dolphins no longer exist. I don't want my daughter to grow up in a world where trees are very scarce. I don't want her to grow up in a world where she can't step outside and breathe fresh air. I don't think that any of us want that. I don't think that any of us want to grow up in a world like that. We need to be more conscientious about the products that we use in our everyday lives, and we need to be more conscientious about checking the label and making sure that it was not tested on an animal. Please. That's your assignment today, folks. Go to your bathroom and look at your shampoo bottles and look at your makeup and look at your deodorant and make sure that it was not tested on an animal. Just be more conscientious about the products that you use and the products that you buy. I'm not trying to judge anybody. There are people who like real fur coats, and there are people who like leather. I'm guilty of having leather in my home. So, even I need to do better. Even I need to do better. So, I'm saying this to myself as well as anybody who's watching. Just, it takes an extra step. Just make sure that whatever products you are using have not been tested on animals. I think that the first time that I was aware of animal testing going on, and this is going to sound completely insane. I'm a child of the 80s. I was born in May of 1980. And so I grew up with the movie Project X. Monkeys in lab research. Project X is one of my favorite movies because it gives you a sense of, what actually has been going on. They have been testing on monkeys and they have been testing on animals in labs. And that was the first time that, as a kid, I realized, oh my gosh, this is actually going on. I need to make sure that I do my part in helping the animals and checking the labels on the products that I use to make sure that they're not tested on animals. So that was from the People magazine. Like I said, I had been sent a story about that cat that was adopted for the sake of being tested on. And I couldn't find it. Like, I did try to look it up and I didn't find it, but I did find a story kind of in the same realm. There are numerous animals that have been adopted, taken in. I don't know if you would say adopted, but taken in by labs to be tested on. That makes me really, really sad. Really, really sad. But, I don't want to I don't want to give you non-facts. I don't want to give you anything that's not true. Just go out and do research and decide for yourself. That's what I always do before these shows. I go out and do research, or I do the research right here on the program with you and decide for myself. I'm not saying don't purchase makeup. I'm not saying don't purchase shampoo or soap. I'm just saying be more conscientious about what you are purchasing and what it entails. If we can, even do a little bit of our part, maybe if everybody purchases products that are not tested on animals, maybe there will be a bigger change. I think that it is great that the lab animals can now be adopted. There are also, you know, it kind of goes in the realm. There are also race horses who, you know, can no longer race, who go to ranches who take in retired race horses, and I think that is great. That is awesome, and thank you for anybody who adopts a retired race horse, who adopts a retired police dog. That's important. That is extremely important. Animals need compassion. They need to be taken care of, you know. So I'm going to share my screen with you all. Hopefully this works out. I tested it last night. Let's see. We're going to share the screen and see what happens. Teddy's story. So let's see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Teddy's story. This is a beagle that was in the lab. And you can find this at www.humanesociety.org/Teddy's story. I thought it was important to share this with you all because I couldn't find the story about the cat that I was telling you all about, but this kind of gives you all a sense of what I was talking about. And this is in quotations. You're seeing it right along here with me as I am scrolling. Teddy was never supposed to have a family. He wasn't meant to chase balls in the grass or get treats for being a good boy. When he was born at Marshall Bioresources, a sprawling dog breeding facility, he had a single purpose: to be sold to a laboratory where he would be used in painful experiments, and then he would be killed. Instead, against all odds, Teddy was saved. And like I said, that's in quotations. When footage of Teddy and the 31 other dogs featured in our undercover investigation went viral in March of 2019, hundreds of thousands of people from around the world took action to demand that the dogs be released from Charles River Laboratories, where they were being used in a year-long fungicide tests commissioned by a pesticide company. Seriously? That makes me want to vomit. To be honest, that just makes me want to vomit right there. After weeks of pressure from the public, the company agreed that the test was unnecessary and released the dogs to their partner at the Michigan Humane Society to be adopted. Thank God people stepped up to save those precious beings. I'm sure you've heard the saying, but I believe it to be true. Dogs and cats are angels on earth because, you know, my cats have done so much for me in my lifetime. They have comforted me in my times of need. They care for me. They make me happy. I love Maple and Harlow so much, and I love Penny so much, and I'm about to cry because I don't want to think about, you know, I mean, look at that precious little face right there. Look at that precious little face. I don't want to think about that precious little face being abused in a lab for the sake of what? Seriously? Like, it's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm going to play a little bit of this YouTube video for you. I'm not going to play the whole thing because I don't want to, you know, copyright or anything, but you can find it on YouTube. And like I said, this can be found on the humanesociety.org/Teddy's story. So I'm going to play a little bit.
Teddy likes it. Hi, mister. I wasn't sure I was going to feel. Yeah. You saved them. You did a lot of, I couldn't imagine.
This is Teddy. He is one of 32 beagles who is being poisoned with a pesticide every day. So Teddy and other beagles are bred specifically for their use in research. So they're bred in these barren conditions, sent off to laboratories, used in testing. They live a life of misery in these barren cages, desperately seeking human attention. This was a pesticide that Dow AgroSciences was trying to get approved, which involved the testing of these dogs every day.
So I'm going to stop it right there. I may play the rest of it for you all because it's only 3 minutes long and it is on YouTube. I will put the link to this particular video and website in the description so that you all can watch it and read more about Teddy. But that is ridiculous. Those dogs were tested on for the sole purpose of a pesticide company. Anyways, here's the rest of the story.
For a year. I worked in a laboratory, so it kind of brought up a lot of feelings from the past of having seen animals suffer in these conditions. When I started questioning the science, I got more emotionally attached to the animals. We have to do everything we can to end this. Hundreds of thousands of people took action, and it showed them that they have the power to get animals released from a laboratory and put a stop to some of these practices. Teddy and others now live in loving homes.
We adopted Teddy from the Michigan Humane Society, and we wanted to give him a better life.
The only thing that goes down this dog's mouth now is, treats and food and water, and no more fungicides.
We don't use weed killer in the backyard because we certainly don't want Teddy to be exposed to chemicals ever again.
Teddy.
It's Teddy.
It's real. He's really here. He's really in this amazing new family. Surprised myself by how emotional that was. I mean, I knew if we kept pushing hard enough, there would be a good outcome. And it happened, so. Now we need, now I'm like, we need more. We need more. We need every dog who is experiencing this to not have to suffer like that anymore.
See, that makes me so happy that somebody stepped up and adopted Teddy, and his story did not have to end tragically. I'm going to put a link of how you can help animals like Teddy in the description. You can also donate on this particular website. So like I said, I will put this website in the description. I want to make sure you know that if you want to donate, that you have the proper location to do so. Donate at your local humane society. You can always donate to your local humane society. If you adopt a pet, adopt a shelter pet. Go to a shelter there are shelters out there that do euthanize animals, unfortunately, if they don't get adopted in a timely manner, because they can only hang on to them for so long. Go to a facility like that and adopt an animal. You do not have to go to a pet store to get an animal that is amazing. Like, my dog Penelope was adopted from a shelter, and she is an amazing German short-haired pointer. Like, she is an incredible dog. A huge member of the family. I love her so much. She's so protective of me. She's a good therapy dog, and She loves me going down there and hugging her every day. And she's like a little kid. She has to have her dog cookies for a snack every day. We go and we get her dog cookies, and she's spoiled. And like, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way. Penelope is a huge member of the family. And then we adopted our cat Harlow from a shelter. She came from the Atlanta Humane Society and got shipped, transferred to the Paws shelter in the Northwest Georgia area. And I came across her picture because we had adopted a precious, precious cat named Maple, which I have talked about before. Heck, Harlow's even been on my show before. But we adopted Maple from somebody that I had worked with sister, and I am so, so grateful for Maple. But we thought Maple was lonely because she was in a household full of other cats. So we adopted Harlow on top of Maple. And now they're inseparable. Like they play and they play fight, but now they're inseparable. And Harlow has made an incredible, I can't say that word enough, therapy cat for my daughter Willow. Willow has had seizures in the past. She is on the spectrum, and she's had meltdowns in the past. She hasn't had a meltdown for a while, but I would like to think that is a huge part to Harlow and Maple, because they're awesome therapy cats. They comfort Willow. They make her happy. They play with Willow. They calm Willow down when Willow is getting, stressed out, and the world can be very overwhelming for us empaths and sensitive folks. So, Harlow and Maple do an amazing job of calming our nerves and caring for us. They care for us. It's not just us taking care of them. They care for us. They do become a member of the family. They are incredible beings, and just because they can't speak the way humans do doesn't mean that they don't have feelings. Here is another story about a dog. It's probably going to play before I have a chance to pause it. We'll see if we can share this on the screen for you all. Share a little bit of it if I can get my screen to share. Yeah, it looks like my screen's not wanting to share now. So I will just tell you about Toby. Toby is a senior beagle who got adopted. And it says the Olympic Village-based artist had first seen the 9-year-old beagle's picture on the previous doggy daycare's Instagram account. The beagle was a senior and was chubby, but according to the O'Connor, he was just the most adorable thing that they had ever seen in their life. And I've said this before on my show, like, if you're wanting to adopt a cat or you're wanting to adopt a dog, don't just rule out older cats and dogs, because they need homes too. Harlow was about 2 years old when we adopted her. We think that she had kittens at one point, and she's an older cat. Like, she wasn't a kitten when we adopted her. My family has just been the type of people who we adopt animals, we take animals in that have been on the streets, and we try to help as many animals as we can. My mom and dad just recently, they'd had a pregnant cat thrown off on them, and they live in a city, and this cat's owners, I guess, just decided to dump her off in the streets. She was very much pregnant and didn't look like she had been taken that well care of. She is a munchkin cat, which means that she has a form of dwarfism for cats. And so she's really, really tiny. She looks like a kitten, and she was very, very much pregnant. And my mom and dad took her in, started feeding her, made sure that she had everything that she needed. And she ended up having her kittens there. She had 3 kittens. She had an infection because no telling what living situation she had come from. Probably not a good situation if the people who had her just ditched her off in the streets. But she had an infection, and 2 of the kittens did not make it. But my mom and dad took in the kitten, the one lone survivor who had made it. And my mom and dad took money that they didn't actually have to get this mama cat fixed, because her kitten is weaned now. And he's doing really, really well. His name is Stormy, and her name is Melody. Thanks to my daughter who named them. But my mom and dad took money that they didn't really have to get this mama cat fixed, and they plan on getting the baby fixed when he's old enough. And they are now inside in air conditioning and living the life. Like, my mom and dad are incredible people, and I really, really wish that there could be more people like that in the world who could adopt an animal in need, or at least, try to help them out until they can be adopted by someone who wants a cat or a dog. So, basically, these horrible things happen in our world. And there are so many things that happen with animals beyond laboratory testing. There are so many grotesque things that happen. I know when I worked in the vet clinic, they said that if you see a cat that has a purple marking on their paw, I think it's like purple marking on their paw or their claw, that is a bait cat. That cat is used in dog fighting. It's used as bait. Dog fighting happens. They fight chickens. There are so many horrible things that have happened with animals across the world. It's not just in the United States, it happens overseas. I have seen stories of dogs left in the streets to die because their legs have been cut off. They have been tortured. I think there was a dog who had both of its ears cut off and both of its front legs cut off. I mean, there are horrible things happening every single day in this world. And I really hope that, more and more people can step up to help these innocent, helpless animals. And it's not just dogs and cats. Like I said, it's horses, it's chickens, it's rabbits, it's pretty much any living thing with a heartbeat. There are horrible things happening. So if you want to donate, you can always donate to your local humane society, or you can ask your local animal shelter. if there's anything that they need. A lot of times they're in need of blankets. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but they do use blankets for puppies and kittens. Sometimes they're in need of dog food, cat food. Sometimes they need bleach. I know that sounds crazy, but they need bleach to sanitize their facility. They need cleaning products. It's as easy as making a phone call and asking them, hey, is there anything that you need in your inventory that you're about out of? You can volunteer at your local animal shelter. Ask them if they need, someone to volunteer. I know that my local animal shelter is having a hard time with hours right now because they are so short-staffed. They don't have enough people working there. And if my schedule wasn't so crazy, I would be more than happy to volunteer at an animal shelter, because then I could feel really, really proud that I'm doing something for the greater good. I know that there are people out there that don't think of cats and dogs as being important, and that's really, really sad. I think cats and dogs are important. Rabbits are important. I had a rabbit named Mishima. He passed away a few months ago, but he was almost 6 years old, and he was an amazing, amazing animal. Like, I'd go in there and tell him about my day. Like, I would come home and just pet his head, and I would talk to him, and I would feel so much better after seeing my therapist, Mishima. I mean, animals are good therapists. They are good listeners. They are good comforters. They're angels on earth. They're honestly angels on earth. So I hope that you all have enjoyed this program. I hope that I haven't rambled on and on and on. And I hope that I didn't make anyone angry. I just want people to think a little bit more about the products that they purchase. Just pay more attention to the labels and make sure that your products have not been tested on animals, and do research. Until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this program. If there is any topics or any subjects that you would like me to research and would like me to cover on this program, please leave me a comment. Please be kind with your comments. I appreciate every single one of you for watching. And until next time, love, hugs, and blessings.
I gotta stay awake, stay alive. It's all on me to find a way to make it in life. Have to believe or else the pain will take all the fight right out of me. So I just lay awake, late at night, thinking of things that I can do to make progress. It's all in the process, train the subconscious. That shit works, I promise. So take what you need, no breaks, hit the speed. Don't save anything, don't waste all you could be. I'll do it right, I'll do it wrong. I'm gonna fight, I stand be strong. I wanna fly before I'm gone. I'm now I'm all but obsessed. I wake up, I'm possessed. I just wanna be the best, fly above all the rest.